Igår kväll så genomförde särläkemedelsbolaget Vicore Pharma en riktad emission på drygt 450 miljoner kronor till knappt 5% rabatt. Bolaget utökar därmed sin fas 2-studie inom lungsjukdomen IPF. Och med mig för att prata mer om detta har jag bolagets vd Ahmed Mousa. Welcome to EFN, Ahmed, straight from Boston in the middle of the night. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, it's great to see you, Kelly.
Thank you. The rumor says that the offering of $47 million closed within 10 minutes with high interest from institutional and international investors. With this raise, you're expanding your ongoing phase 2B trial and adding 90 patients from 270 to 360, which is a lot in this indication. So why are you expanding the study enrollment?
Yeah, absolutely. So the landscape ahead of Vicore's lead program, Bolaget for IPF, really matured over the past few months. And so we know exactly what's in front of us in terms of other therapies and the level of effect that they've shown. And essentially, adding the 90 patients allows us to have the statistical power to show an effect size that would be as good or better than the best drug that has shown any effect in IPF to date. So it really is the ability to capture that broader range of effects based on the landscape that drove us to do this.
Okay, so I will get back to that later, but let's talk about the timeline, because the trial will be fully enrolled during late spring next year, with top-line data reading out during, I think, mid-2027, right? And is this a way for you to make the trial pivotal? And does it increase your chances of winning an accelerated approval with the FDA?
Yeah, so certainly as the trial gets bigger and bigger, we think that it will get more attention from the FDA. And we certainly do believe that this data will be part of the package of what the FDA calls the substantial evidence of efficacy required for approval. Our base case assumption is still that the FDA will require an additional phase 3, although again, we have to remember that typically the FDA requires 2 phase 3 trials in this context. So essentially our hope is this will count as one of those 2 phase 3s, and certainly the added size helps us in that effort as well.
And is that enough to make it an accelerated approval, or is that too early to talk about?
I think it's too early to tell. I think that will be an item that will have to be negotiated with the FDA at the time.
Right. And with this expansion, you're enhancing the statistical power to detect the differences in lung function comparable to those achieved by the leading drug candidate currently in development, as you said. And does this have anything to do with lowering the delta due to the difference within the arms against placebo? Or could you elaborate on this for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way in which the effect of IPF drugs are measured is basically after a patient takes this drug or any drug for IPF for 1 year, you measure the lung function and the change in that lung function over the 1-year period. So essentially, the best drug ahead of us has shown a 96 milliliter difference in lung function between the treatment arm and the placebo arm. And our effect size that we were statistically powered for before this increase was 126 milliliters. And so essentially with these added 90 patients, we can power to detect about that same level, about 96, 97 milliliter difference in lung function from the placebo arm to the treatment arm. So it's essentially an expansion to pick up that space in between our original design and where basically the best effect ahead of us has come out.
Is that maybe due to the competitiveness from United Therapeutics to, Tivaso, where they met their primary and they showed superiority over placebo in the Teton-2 earlier in September?
Exactly. So it's that Tyvaso, the drug that has shown that 96 milliliter difference in lung function. And so we think that is the high bar ahead of us in terms of efficacy that we want to basically show that we can meet or even exceed.
Okay, and regarding financing, you will now have cash for a half a year longer. I think it's going to last until the second half of 2028. What is the plan going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will allow us to, as you mentioned, complete enrollment of the study in the first half of next year. And then there's a 1-year dosing period. followed by a couple of months to collect and clean the data for a data readout in mid-2027, as you mentioned. And then, of course, we want to be in a strong position at the time of the data readout and have sufficient cash to move forward for an additional year as well. And that's the rationale behind extending the runway too.
Thank you, Ahmed, for clarification. Have a nice day.
Of course. Thank you, Kelly.
Take care.
Det här var en produktion från E5. Ansvarig utgivare Anders Hägerstrand.